Welcome to Cinema Subjects. I'm your host, Scott Martin. Today we'll be talking to a special effects makeup artist who has worked on such movies as Darkman, The Firm, and The Addams Family. He is currently a photographic production technology major here at SIUC. 24-year-old Dave Price.
Hi, Scott.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I appreciate
Okay, so let's get into it. What inspired you to become a makeup artist?
Well, when I was younger, I was always interested in monster movies, and I've always wanted to know basically how they did the makeup. And I did a lot of research as a child, a lot of experimentation and whatnot. And as I got older, I found the library and I did a lot of reading on it. So basically, I did it a lot through trial and error and research.
So you read books like that are behind this?
Correct.
Okay, is Halloween your favorite time of the year?
I'd say Halloween would have to be one of my favorite times of the year because of A, the money involved, and B, the creativity I get to use.
Okay. Well, right now we're going to go, we have some footage of you at work that, we shot, when I was helping Larry with his little project there. Okay, so we're going to watch it, and then you're going to respond to it and give us a quick rundown. Here we go.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay, so what are we looking at right here?
Okay, basically what I'm attempting to do is I'm going to clear off Jeremy's face of oil, and so therefore the makeup will stick a lot better. So I'm just swabbing his face with alcohol to get rid of the oil so the appliance will stick better.
Now this is rubbing alcohol?
Correct. This is just 70% alcohol.
Okay, so he's not like wasted or anything?
No. He may be asleep. Here I think I'm brushing on the, there's the appliance there. Basically what I was doing before, I was brushing on that spirit gum, which is a glue, that I'm fitting the appliance on with, and then I'm trying to go out through the edges, putting above his eyebrows so the appliance will seal on his eye.
Making sure not to get it into his
Correct.
eye.
That's the last thing I want to do is get it in his eye. I'm trying to seal up the edges of the appliance here.
Now, where'd you get this mask at?
Basically, I got that at a Halloween store here in Carbondale. I just wanted to use a generic appliance, and here I am darkening his eyes a little bit and the rest of the prosthetic.
And then here you're adding depth?
I'm just adding a little bit of, well, here I am adding some character lines. I believe that's to his chin. And there's, I'm gonna put on a fake chin here. This is a part of a prosthetic here. With a generic appliance like this, it's very difficult to seal the edges, considering the edges are not as thin as they are. I believe this is the finished product here.
And there we have it.
There's the finished product.
Oh no!
And we gave him a little touch of blood for the ending there.
That looks beautiful. So tell me, what books or magazines did you read on the subject matter?
When I was a kid, I went into a store and I saw a magazine called Fangoria Magazine that basically introduced me to makeup as a career, even though I was very young at the time. I learned a lot about special effects makeup artists such as Tom Savini, John Dodds, Dick Smith, et cetera, in the business. As they were growing in their careers, I was kind of keeping up through the years about how they did it and how they made it in Hollywood.
Okay, now let's talk about the movies you worked on. Now, what was your role in The Addams Family?
In The Addams Family, what I had to do was I had to comb out Cousin It, basically was my job. Anything that had to be done to the actual character itself, I had to do. If the hair was falling out, which basically that's all it was hair, I had to punch it in or I had to fix it. So basically that was my job.
And here we're...
yeah, that was a brief
snippet
of my job, yes.
Who played Cousin It?
Cousin It was played by several people. It was sometimes it would be played by a man or a female. Sometimes it would be played by a child. So really, it depended on who was on the set that day.
Okay, now let's talk about Darkman. Now, did you work on Liam Neeson?
I was able to meet Liam Neeson, and I did get to work on him briefly. I was an intern at the time with Tony Gardner for Alterian Effects Labs, and I was hired as an intern. So basically my job was to run slush molds of latex, foam latex that is, and anything that had to be done, such as getting the coffee or running errands and whatnot. That was basically my job, better known as a gopher. But I didn't mind it because I like to learn everything I could about the business.
Okay, how long did it take to get the full makeup on?
It took about 3 hours to do everything. I believe it was 8 pieces, including the vacuform skull on his head. So basically what they did was they put a part on his head almost like a bald cap, but it was vacuform so it would actually seal to his head, and then they put the appliances over. And I got to paint him a couple of times as well as seal half the edges on the appliances, yes.
Okay. Now, what was it like on the set of The Firm that you worked on?
On The Firm, it was a very tight budget, and it was a closed set. So tensions were kind of high, security was very high. It was a lot of fun. I was kind of intimidated by some of the actors, such as Gene Hackman, William Brimley, Tom Cruise, et cetera, et cetera. But I learned a lot. I worked with Ben Nye Jr., who is Ben Nye Sr.'s son, who was a famous makeup artist in Hollywood back in the 50s and 60s. But I did learn a lot, and I did made a lot of contacts out there, and hopefully my next project is going to be a new John Grisham film being filmed in Memphis called The Gingerbread Man.
Mm-hmm. Now, on the set of The Firm, you got to like hang out with Tom Cruise, didn't you?
Briefly. Basically, Tom liked to relax by playing basketball, and some of the scenes were filmed at the University of Memphis, so we got to play basketball in gym a couple of times. It was crew against cast, so we did pretty good.
now, I mean, Wilford Brimley and Gene Hackman, they enjoyed it, didn't they?
No.
I
No,
couldn't
they
imagine them getting into it.
Couldn't see William Brimley playing basketball.
Okay. Now, what movies did you watch as a kid that, inspired you?
Ooh, when I was a kid, I wasn't really allowed to see many R-rated movies, but when I got older, I started to rent, I think, every horror movie ever made, it seems like. Anything from Night of the Living Dead to Day of the Triffids to American Werewolf in London to The Howling, you name it, basically, I've seen it, whether they be bad or good.
Okay, and what is your favorite current running TV show?
My favorite current running TV show, oh boy, I'd have to say it's Home Improvement, I guess. That's one of the funniest ones I know of, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta love Tim Allen.
Well, I've never worked with Tim Allen before, but maybe someday I'll get there.
Okay, and finally, where would you like to be in 5 years?
5 years from now, oh boy. Well, hopefully I'll be successful no matter what I do, whether I choose to stick with a prosthetic or a special effects technician, or whether it be in photography or whatever I decide to do. I just hope I get the idea that I will be a success no matter what, and I'll be happy.
Okay, and is there anything else you'd like to add? About now, how would people get into this business?
Well,
I mean, how would the kiddies at home, if they aspire to work on these movies and to be a makeup artist, how would they get into it?
Well, the main thing that I would recommend is that the kids do all the reading that they can, because a lot of the materials are toxic and they can be hazardous, such as the glue that I was using on the tape that we watched earlier. The prosthetic or the glue rather that I was using, called Spirit Gum, can irritate the skin, as well as many adhesives. That was a mild adhesive. That we have adhesives that actually are used in prosthetics in the medical industry called 355, which basically cannot be taken off except with tetracycline, and it's a dangerous material. So what I would recommend is don't try this at home until you've done a lot of reading.
Yeah, remember
and you have adult supervision with you, and that's really all I can remember. I've heard of horror stories before where kids actually put appliances on with super glue, so I would just say be careful with what you do.
Mm-hmm. And you almost glued that guy's eye shut when you were putting the makeup on.
Actually, when I was first working a long time ago, I actually did glue my brother's eye closed, so that was a mistake.
Yeah, because I know when you were putting the makeup on you, I was supposed to ask you questions. I wasn't going to ask you anything when you were close to that eye.
Well, I think I made him nervous a little bit too. With the alcohol under his eye, what you're trying to do is you're trying to clean away some of the dirt and oil, as well as keep the appliance to his skin. So you have to make sure that the room or the area is well ventilated for some of the materials that you use.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's get back to Halloween. How much money did you make during Halloween?
Halloween time this year, considering I only had 3 days to work, I made over $500.
Wow!
And that was over a period of 2 nights.
Now, is this for like charging people, or is this for contests, or where did all this money come from?
Basically, what I did was I did prosthetics on my brother as well as myself. What that was we went to an establishment in Memphis, where I'm from, and what we did was we entered a costume contest,
mm-hmm.
and we just so happened that I won 2 nights in a row at the same place. So I think some of the other people were pretty mad, considering the second night that I was there, I got there at approximately 12 when the contest started, about 11:45.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and what did you dress yourself up? What did you dress yourself up as?
Well,
and your brother as well.
Well, Rick Baker was the special effects makeup artist that did the Michael Jackson Thriller video.
Mm-hmm.
When you see Michael Jackson and most of the characters behind him doing the famous dance that they do, basically what I dressed up as was one of the characters behind Michael Jackson. So basically I was a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
The zombie makeup basically originated from Tom Savini, but basically I enjoy doing it, and I do it almost every year, and I try something different.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we are out of time. Thank you, Dave, for being on our show.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
And join us next week when we'll be looking at the process of film editing. Good night, everybody.